I think the most common styles of hand planes that you see, especially on YouTube, are this Eastern style and Western style. So the Japanese style and the English style. And I have both of them and I use them in different projects. So I can give you some arguments why I found one style more appropriate for me at least. I'm gonna start with the materials. The kana, it's a very simple tool. It's made of wood. The body is made of wood, oak, quarter sawn oak, and it has a blade with a chip breaker. The blades of the kana or the Japanese are quite different than the Western ones. They are laminated, so they have a high carbon steel and the lower carbon steel. The high carbon steel it's very hard and very brittle, and then they laminate this lower to stabilize and to have a much easier way of sharpening. Basically, there are no features on the kana. It's a simple tool. You set it up, you sharpen the blade, and you plane away. Now let's go to the Western style. So firstly, I have different manufacturers, different price points, but mostly the Western style bodies are made of cast iron, and the bigger ones have wood handles or plastic handles, but in this case wood handles. Like in this Juma, they are rosewood, and it has these nice elements of brass like this cap. There is no comparison between features. I mean, the Western style comes with a lot of very useful features. Like if you take this Veritas, for example, it has a mouth that can open and close, very useful for difficult wood, and also has this thumb screw that doesn't let the blade hit the mouth. Comes with set screws, so you can put the blade exactly in the same place. So it has all these modern features that makes life much easier. Most of the Western style have a knob that lets you control and set up very easily the blade. On the bigger ones you can control them even side to side. On the smaller ones you can basically just control the depth of the cut. So now let's see them in action. I'm gonna try to use these block planes, they are quite similar in size. With the Western style, once you put the blade in, it's very easy to set it up and start playing away. This one is not very sharp, you get even more finer shavings if you want. But if we look at the kana, it's on the pull side compared with the Western style that's on a push. So you pull it towards you to cut. The setup of the kana it's a little bit more involved, and using a hammer you can tap away until you achieve the depth that you want of the blade. If you hit it on the blade it goes forward, if you hit it on the body you pull it out. After a few minutes of tap on the body and the blade, I set it up as I want it, and I can have the same quality of shavings like the Western one. If you want to go further in refining the setup of your kana, the kana should have 3 points where it touches the wood, and you can find tutorials about this. But basically, top, middle, and bottom, that's the points that it needs to touch the wood, and you scrape away just very finely in between them. With the Western style in these days, they come, even the cheaper ones, they come pretty good. The body of the hand plane comes quite flat, so I didn't have to do anything with it. Personal preference is the Western style, and I'm gonna give you the reason why I like them more. Firstly, it's ergonomics. I mean, there's no comparisons with the kana. For me, having I think medium-sized hands, it's quite difficult to grab on them and to hold them, and I never know where to hold them. It doesn't have like a fixed place where to put my hand on it. If the kana it's a little bit bigger, maybe it's easier, but still, if you compare it even with the block plane, this Western style, I mean, this is so much easier to grab on it, and the hand sits so much nicer on the plane. On the bigger hand planes, there is no comparisons. You have handles, it's so easy, so comfortable to work with them, and even if you look at this very old European style, even that it has quite good ergonomics. So you can have wood planes that have some kind of good way of holding them. The second reason is the sharpening speed. I know some people really enjoy sharpening. I'm not one of them. I just want to sharpen to have sharp blades and go on with my work. Because of the style of the Japanese blade, it's a little bit more difficult to sharpen them. And most of the cases you are going to sharpen it by using your hands, so you don't have a jig where you can put it in. And if you compare them with the Western style, where I already have this Veritas jig and I can just very fast put it in place and start sharpening. So with the Western style, I don't need to go through the whole blade to sharpen it. I can just put a small secondary bevel, so I can use the same blade for a couple of times before I need to sharpen the primary bevel, and that makes it much more easier for me. And another reason is how easy it is to use. With the Japanese, it's a little more involved. The setup it's a little bit more difficult. With the Western style, you just pick it up. You have the knobs, you have the features. It's easier to go on with your project. But there is one thing that the wooden planes are much better than the metal ones. At least that's my personal opinion. The connection that you have with the material, the tactile feeling, you cannot compare with the metal one. Like wood on wood feels so much nicer than metal on wood. And there's a third option, like these European wooden ones. And if you don't like the metal one, you don't like the Kana, but you want something in between. Yeah, especially here in Germany, they are using for centuries the wooden ones, and they are very nice. I don't have the newer ones, but maybe at some point I'm gonna buy some of them and try them out. And if you want to go further with the Japanese tools, there is a very interesting book about the Japanese tools. It has not only the hand planes, but most of the Japanese tools. It's a very interesting reading. It's called Japanese Woodworking Tools. And if you don't want to buy commercially ones, you can always make your own. You can take the example of James Cranov, which is a very well-known woodworker. He used to make his own, and his furniture and his pieces are very well known and very famous and very celebrated as design. So if he can do all these projects with hand planes made of wood by himself, so I think you can get great results with whatever style you choose. On a final note, use what you have or what you can make or what you can afford. It's not always easy. You go on YouTube and see all these people with great tools, and sometimes you don't live in the right place, or you can afford them. And I can tell you from my experience, when I started doing woodworking for hobby, I was living in Romania, and there was not that many options to find hand tools or great quality hand tools. But then I moved to Germany, and here the market it's much bigger, so I could find all these tools and in time buy them one by one. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and like and subscribe the video. Thanks. See you next time.